Welcome. Today we'll explore the concept of reflective practice and its essential role in T-levels. This session will give you valuable insights and practical strategies to enhance your approach to reflective learning. So to begin, we're going to look at an overview of the reflective practice in T-levels. Today, we're going to explore examples throughout this recording to support in teaching and delivery, and it is not a representation of an assessment. So let's start with the purpose of reflection. So reflective practice is all about developing a deeper understanding of one's actions and decisions. It's a powerful tool that helps students not only identify their strengths, but also pinpoint areas where they can improve. By fostering self-awareness, reflection becomes a cornerstone of personal and professional growth. Reflective practice plays a crucial role in T-level delivery. It encourages continuous learning and growth, allowing students to critically evaluate their performance and build on their experiences. This approach is especially significant when it comes to the employer set projects, or ESPs, as it supports students in progressing effectively across tasks. So in today's recording, we'll focus on two key areas. First, we'll discuss how to apply marking criteria to assess student reflections, ensure alignment with the required students. Then we'll look at strategies for developing critical thinking and reflective depth, helping students move beyond surface level observations to meaningful insights. By the end of this session, you'll be equipped with practical tools to guide your students in reflective practice, fostering the skills for academic success and future employability. Let's dive in. So let's explore the purpose of reflection a little bit further. Reflection is not just retrospective activity, but an essential part of continuous learning improvement. Firstly, reflection enhances the ESP process by encouraging students to think deeply about their actions, decisions, and outcomes, helping them gain clarity on how they can improve. It also helps students make connection between each task and the next, fostering a holistic understanding of the project and how each component contributes to the overall outcome. It encourages students to critically evaluate, which is a really important aspect. It prompts students to assess their decisions and their consequences, encourage them to consider what worked, what didn't, and why. Students are also encouraged to evaluate the performance of individual tasks and how these impact the overall success of the project, building a more strategic approach to their work. Reflection provides a bridge between practical tasks and assessment objectives, aligning student efforts with the expectations of both the qualification and the industry. It also offers valuable insights into personal and professional growth, helping students see how their skills, knowledge, and confidence evolve over the course of the project. Finally, reflection builds awareness of how their actions, decisions, and learning progress across tasks, ensuring a continuous improvement and adaptability. These elements highlight the vital role of reflection plays in the ESP process, transforming it from a series of tasks into a meaningful learning journey. Now we will focus on integration of reflective performers within T-level delivery. Reflective performers are valuable tools that encourage students to think critically about their learning and experience. Let's now explore how we can embed reflective practices effectively into lessons. Reflection is not just a skill, but a habit that needs to be cultivated with the right tools and strategies. Firstly, it's important to introduce reflective performers early on. Familiarizing students with their structure helps build confidence in using them. Students should also be guided on how to evaluate different experiences, whether classroom activities, simulation room tasks, or placements. These performers act as a roadmap for thoughtful and structured reflection. Next, guided practice is essential to help students master reflective techniques. This includes breaking down reflection performers into manageable steps, such as What Went Well, or WW, which highlights successes and achievements, Even Better If, or EBI, which helps identify areas for improvement, connections, linking experiences to learning outcomes or personal goals. Additionally, modelling and reflective writing during lesson is a powerful way to show students what effective reflection looks like. By providing examples and engaging in discussions, you can support their development. So, for example, reflecting on patient care roles or clinical scenarios. So now we're going to highlight how reflective performance can be effectively used for consolidation tasks to deepen student learning and self-awareness. Consolidation is a critical phase where students solidify their understanding and connect their experiences to professional growth. First, reinforcing reflective practice involves regular use of reflection. You can assign reflective tasks as homework or at the end of a session to promote ongoing reflection. Encourage students to link the reflections to specific learning goals or workplace behaviours. This alignment ensures that reflections remain purposeful and tied to their development. Scenario-based reflection is another effective strategy. Providing scenarios or prompts can guide students in their reflective process. For example, you might ask, what challenges did I encounter and how did I address them? You might ask the students to consider, how does this experience relate to professional standards? Or what skills will I develop further based on this reflection? These targeted questions help students think critically and draw connections between their experiences and their learning objectives. Finally, to help students move beyond surface level reflection, focus on developing depth. Teach them how to link their experiences to core knowledge for deeper insights, using reflective frameworks such as Gibbs cycle or Kolb's learning cycle can provide structured and a step-by-step approach to reflective practice. By integrating these strategies, you empower students to engage in meaningful reflection that not only consolidates their learning but also equips them with the critical thinking skills needed for lifelong growth. Now we'll explore how reflective performance can be used effectively in both formative and summative assessments, along with practical tips to help students excel in reflective tasks. Let's start with the formative assessment. Assignment reflective performance after mock tasks or simulated activities provides students with an opportunity to analyse their experiences and identify areas for improvement. Using teacher feedback is crucial to help students refine their reflective writing and gain deeper insights. Incorporating peer review activities where students evaluate each other's reflections encourages collaboration and helps them learn from their peers' perspectives. Reflective performers also play an essential role in summative assessments. They can be tailored to assess tasks to meet the specific requirements of each subject area. Finally, here are 2 practical tips to make reflection more effective. Teach students to manage their time effectively when completing reflective tasks so they can focus on quality rather than rushing through the process. Encourage students to justify their reflections with evidence from their learning or experiences. This not only enhances the depth of their writing but also ties it back to measurable outcomes. By integrating reflective performance in both formative and summative assessment and using these practical tips, we can support students in developing meaningful, well-structured reflections that contribute to their overall success. We will now shift our focus to the role of reflective performers in the ESP. Reflection is an integral part of the ESP process, helping students critically evaluate their performance and understand the impact of their tasks. First, let's discuss why reflection in ESP is so important. Each ESP task is interconnected and understanding task progression is essential to ensure consistent quality throughout the project. Reflection allows students to identify their strengths and weaknesses in one task, which can then inform and drive improvements in subsequent tasks. By reflecting, students not only learn from the experiences but also build the skills necessary for success in the project and beyond. To guide students in meaningful reflection, here are some key prompts you can use. How did this task prepare me for the next one? This encourages students to think ahead and understand how each task contributes to the bigger picture. What skills or knowledge gained here will I use in the next task? This links in their learning directly to practical application, fostering a sense of purpose. Did my approach support smooth progression? Why or why not? This prompt helps students critically evaluate their methods and identify areas for improvement. So by using these prompts, we can help students approach the ESPs with a reflective mindset, ensuring they not only meet project objectives, but also grow as independent learners and professionals. So now we're going to focus on key areas for students' reflection and provide prompts to guide them in evaluating their task effectively. Reflection is most impactful when it's focused, structured, and actionable. Let's start with the focus areas. When reflecting, students should analyse their decisions, strategies, and the outcomes of each task. This helps them understand the effectiveness of their approach and the rationale behind their actions. Reflect on an area of excellence and those needing improvement. By identifying what worked well and where they can grow, students develop a clear roadmap for their progression. Next are here some prompts to guide students in structuring their reflection. What went well in this task and why? This helps them recognise their strengths and reinforce positive behaviours. Were there any challenges or mistakes? What did I learn from them? This encourages resilience and critical thinking, turning setbacks into valuable learning opportunities. How did I manage my time and resources? Time and resource management are crucial skills, and reflecting on these aspects ensure continuous improvement in these areas. Finally, a pro tip. Encourage students to break their reflections into smaller parts, such as planning, execution, and evaluation. This makes the process less overwhelming and ensures they capture insights from every stage of the task. By focusing on these areas and using these prompts, we can support students in developing deep, meaningful reflections that enhance their learning and prepare them for future challenges. So in order to support your students in doing task-to-task reflections, here are some prompts that you can use. What did you do well? Start by identifying successes. This builds confidence and helps students recognise their strengths. What could you improve? Reflecting on areas for improvement helps students focus on growth and set actionable goals for future tasks. Did you use your pre-research effectively and build the foundation? Encourage students to consider whether their preparation set them up for success. When completing your report, do you feel that you were missing key areas? This question prompts students to analyse their work critically, identifying any gaps or omissions. As a result, were you prepared for the supportive discussion for your role play and then to create an effective healthcare plan? This connects preparation to practical application, emphasising the importance of readiness for discussions and tasks. Did you use your peer discussion time effectively? Reflecting on collaboration highlights the value of peer input and teamwork. Did you use that peer discussion feedback to inform your presentation? This question helps students evaluate how well they integrated feedback into their work. Was there one area or several areas you would change? Finally, this encourages students to think critically about what they would do differently, fostering continuous improvement. Now let's look at some more examples of how to structure and some more prompts. So like earlier, it's highlighting what did they achieve in this task and how. How does this task prepare me for the next one? What can I improve on and how will I apply the improvement moving forward? Use specific examples and evidence from tasks. And students need to highlight the links between those core knowledge, skills, and task progression. Reflection can enhance performance of your students. Using reflections allows students to identify patterns, for example, recurring strengths or challenges, and it teaches them to apply lessons learned to future tasks. And further reflection prompts such as how did feedback or self-evaluation shape my approach, or what will I do differently in the next task and why, is an important part of enhancing that performance. So now let's explore how we apply marking criteria to assess student reflection quality and track student progress towards final assessments. Focusing on the ESP, our main goal is to understand the marking criteria for ESP, see how they relate to reflection and formative assessment, and identify areas where students can improve. We'll highlight developmental areas for feedback to help students continuously enhance their reflection and preparation skills. Formative assessment is integral in shaping student reflection. By identifying strengths and areas for growth early, we guide students to improve specific skills, like critical thinking, teamwork, before final assessments. Formative feedback encourages consistent improvement in reflection skills, making students better prepared and confident. Using the marking scheme effectively involves a best fit approach. Assess responses holistically, considering overall reflection quality rather than checking every detail. Mark bands provide descriptors like excellent or adequate to ensure consistency. By keeping language aligned with the mark scheme, we set clear expectations, which also guide students in their reflective development. When giving feedback, focus on the areas that will most impact the final assessment. Encourage students to use specific language, reflect critically on actions, and continuously link practice to theory. Pointing out specific strengths, such as problem solving, and areas needing attention, like communication, helps students stay aligned with marking criteria and improves their overall reflective practice. Teacher feedback on reflection exercises plays a pivotal role in helping students understand the marking criteria. Teachers provide structured feedback aligned with assessment objectives, such as demonstrating core skills or reviewing project outcomes. For example, if a student reflection lacks critical analysis, the teacher might highlight this area with examples and suggestions for improvement. By modelling what a top band reflection looks like, teachers help students internalise the qualities of a successful reflective response. This in turn provides a roadmap for students as they progress. Peer assessments allow students to engage with marking criteria by evaluating each other's reflections. This collaborative approach enhances their understanding of standards and helps them learn through varied examples. For instance, a student may see how a peer effectively connects theory to practice or expresses self-awareness, which they might then apply in their final reflections. In peer assessment sections, students focus on two main areas: strengths and areas for growth, making the criteria more relatable and actionable. This feedback loop fosters a sense of shared learning and reflection improvement. Self-assessment using marking criteria empowers students to critically evaluate their progress. By creating a checklist based on the criteria, students can assess their work systematically, checking if they've demonstrated critical thinking, connected theory to practice, or engaged in self-analysis. This process not only builds self-awareness but also accountability, as students are actively responsible for identifying their strengths and areas to improve. Self-assessment is particularly valuable as students set short-term goals based on the review. For instance, a student might set a goal to provide more specific examples in their next reflection, directly aligning with the criteria for reflective evaluation. Class activities centered around the marking criteria help students practice applying these standards in a structured way. For example, reflection workshops allow students to evaluate sample responses using the criteria, guided by their teacher. This hands-on practice helps students break down different mark bands and understand what distinguishes an excellent reflection from a good one. Using real student exemplars, they apply the criteria and discuss strengths and weaknesses together, making the marking scheme clearer and more accessible. These activities allow students to see and practice the application of marking criteria in a collaborative setting, reinforcing their understanding through repetition. Regularly applying marking criteria and formative assessment promotes continuous improvement by providing clear and achievable guidelines for students. This practice builds critical reflection skills as students learn to assess their own progress thoughtfully. By using these criteria throughout the course, students become comfortable with the standards expected in their final assessments, ultimately helping reduce stress and boosting confidence. For Task 4 of the ESP, students are expected to apply core knowledge and skills to reflect on their approach, showing how well they met project expectations. This task focuses on students' ability to reflect critically. This means analysing their decisions and actions, linking back to learning outcomes and evaluating their performance. Key criteria here include clear, logical reflections that relate actions to outcomes, detailed self-evaluations, and evidence of improvement plans. Let's examine a Grade A exemplar reflection from the ESP. So this student demonstrated strong evaluative skills by analysing their actions and linking them to project outcomes. However, areas for improvement included greater specificity in linking experiences to theoretical knowledge and providing more critical reflection on communication challenges faced. Highlighting these points in formative assessments helps the students refine the reflective approach for final grading. Let's explore how to break down the marking criteria in a classroom setting. By analysing the core criteria and clarifying the marking bands, we can help students understand how their work is assessed and how to achieve higher level performance. Firstly, let's identify the key criteria that students need to focus on. We have AO2, which is applying core knowledge and skills. This involves connecting theoretical learning to practical application. And AO5, reviewing outcomes against project goals. This requires students to evaluate what worked well, identify areas of improvement, and make connections to project success. Next, you would need to break down the marking bands to explain how students' performance is graded. So this is an example of how I've broken down the marking bands. At this level, so band 4, students provide a clear and well thought out reflection that strongly connects what they learnt to what they did. They analyse what worked, what didn't, and suggest specific ways to improve next time. For band 3, students deliver a good reflection, connecting their learning to their actions. They highlight what went well and what could be improved, but their explanation lacks the depth and detail of band 4. At band 2 is a basic reflection is provided, with some connections between learning and actions. However, the analysis is limited and details about what worked or didn't are minimal. And at band 1, this level, the reflection is limited. There's little connection to what was learned, and the explanation of success or failure lacks specific examples and insight. So by breaking down the criteria and marking bands in this way, we can make the assessment process transparent and guide students towards meaningful improvement in their reflections and overall performance. Let's explore a practical approach to breaking down marking criteria in a classroom setting. By using specific examples, we can guide students in understanding how their work is assessed and what is expected of them. So, practical classroom activity example. One effective way to help students grasp the marking criteria is through a structured classroom activity. For example, start with the criteria. Begin by presenting the marking criteria to students. Break it into manageable sections such as knowledge demonstration, application of skills, analysis and evaluation. Number 2, provide a sample task. Use a sample task or question and explain how it aligns with each section of the criteria. This helps students see the direct connection between their work and how it will be evaluated. Number 3, analyze an example answer. So share an example student response and discuss how it meets or falls short of marking criteria. Encourage students to identify where marks are gained or lost. Number 4, collaborative breakdown. Have students work in small groups to break down a new example task based on the marking criteria. This hands-on activity deepens their understanding and allows for peer learning. And finally, reflection. Conclude the activity with a reflective discussion, asking questions like, what did you learn about aligning your work with the marking criteria? How can you apply this understanding to improve your own responses? This practical approach not only demystifies the marking process, but also empowers students to take ownership of their learning. Let's explore an example of what a Band 4 reflection could look like and explain why it meets the criteria for the high level of performance. It provides a practical example to help students understand how to achieve this standard. So please take a moment to read this example. So why this could be rated as Band 4. Critical evaluation. This reflection doesn't just describe what happened, it evaluates the effectiveness of specific actions. In this example, the student highlights the impact of shared decision making on addressing the patient's anxiety, going beyond mere description to assess the results of their approach. Number 2, connection to core knowledge. A key feature of Band 4 reflection is tying actions to theoretical concepts. Here the students connect their actions to the theory of person-centered care and shared decision making, demonstrating an understanding of its practical application. Number 3, improvement plan. A Band 4 reflection also includes a clear and an actionable improvement plan. And in this example, the student identifies the need to incorporate more open-ended questions to enhance patient participation, showing their commitment to continuous improvement. So this example illustrates depth, critical thinking, and alignment with core knowledge that define a Band 4 reflection. By modelling this approach, students can aim to deliver well-rounded and high-quality reflection in their own work. So how do we develop reflective practice in students? Introduce reflective models. Teach students to use reflective frameworks such as Gibbs or Kolb or the Describe, Interpret, Evaluate model. Why it works, these models provide structure to guide students through the reflective process. Scaffold reflection practice. Provide students with guided reflection templates that prompt them to think about specific aspects of their work. For example, what went well? What could have been improved? What tools did I use? And how effective were they? Gradual removal of scaffolds allows students to internalize reflective habits and feel confident conducting independent evaluations. Number 3. Pair students and have them evaluate each other's work using a checklist based on the exam criteria. Then ask them to reflect on their peers' feedback. This encourages critical thinking and helps students learn from different perspectives, improving their ability to self-evaluate. Number 4, use of real-world case studies. Present students with past projects case studies and ask them to reflect on the decisions made, tools used and outcomes achieved. Then have them evaluate how they would approach the project differently. Connecting learning to real-world examples enhances students' ability to identify practical solutions and apply reflective thinking to professional scenarios. Reflective journals or logs. So this requires students to maintain a weekly reflective journal where they document key actions, challenges and learning during project work. Consistent reflection helps students track their progress over time and deepen their understanding of how their skills and knowledge evolve. Number 6, after completing a project or task, facilitate a group brief session where students discuss their key achievements, challenges and lessons learned. Encourage them to compare different approaches. Sharing reflection in groups fosters collaborative learning and helps students see a variety of reflective techniques and outcomes. Number 7, provide students with past exam prompts or scenarios and ask them to complete a reflective evaluation under time conditions, applying a reflective technique. Offer structured feedback based on exam marking schemes. Why this is effective is it familiarises students with exam expectations and builds confidence in applying reflective skills within a high pressure environment. And finally, use digital platforms such as Padlet, Google Docs or Microsoft Teams to create digital reflection boards where students can collaboratively document their reflection and evaluations. Incorporating technology mirrors professional practice and allows students to review and build on each other's reflections. So as we wrap up, let's revisit the importance of embedding reflective practice into teaching and learning. Reflection is crucial for both personal and professional growth. It helps students understand their strengths and identify areas for improvement, enhancing performance. Using marking criteria offers clear guidance for evaluating and refining reflections and ensuring alignment with learning goals. To deepen the impact of reflection in your classroom, use reflective performers. These tools help students structure their reflections and achieve greater depth in the analysis. Encourage connections. Help students link the reflection to core knowledge and workplace behaviours, making their learning more meaningful and applicable. Reflection transforms experience into insight, enabling students to grow, improve, and achieve success. It is not just a process, but a pathway to becoming more self-aware and effective in their actions. Thank you for engaging with this session on reflective skills in Health T-Level. Your feedback is crucial in helping us refine and enhance these resources. We'd greatly appreciate it if you could take a few minutes to complete this feedback form. You can either scan the QR code on the right or follow the link provided below to access the form. This is an evaluation specifically for the recorded or on-demand resources related to this session. Your insights are invaluable to us. They ensure that our resources effectively meet your needs and support your delivery of Health T-Level content. Thank you for watching this recording on enhancing reflection skills in T-Level students in the T-Level Health. We hope you found the insights and strategies shared today valuable for your teaching practice.